Welcome back to Community Conversations. I'm your host, Steve Mantis, and my guest today, Frank Pullia, City Councillor for the City of Thunder Bay. Welcome back, Frank.
My pleasure.
So we've talked about some big picture issues. We've talked a little bit about your own personal background. Let's talk about some of the nuts and bolts, some of the things that the city, some of the services that they're actually providing. And what are the areas that you're focusing on as an elected representative?
Well, besides the budget, and I can tell you that we are already starting to work on 2016 budget.
So let me ask, how big is our budget?
Net or gross? It's
Gross.
in the $200 million range plus.
So you look after
net.
$200 million.
Plus.
Plus.
I can't give you the exact number because it depends on what you include or exclude, right?
And so is that a big part of your job?
A big part of my job is working with our staff, with our city manager, with the mayor and council, in looking at, right now we're looking at the next 10 years. We're trying to have a long range perspective in terms of budgeting, because it's important to plan ahead, because we have so much infrastructure in our city, besides the road, water and wastewater treatment plant, sidewalks, curbing, the underground stuff. Every time we're fixing a road now, we're fixing what's underground, the water pipes, the sewer pipes. So we don't have to go back and cut that road again in 3-4 years when it starts breaking up.
Mm-hmm.
So part of the reason why the water rates have gone up, besides the legislative requirements that put a lot of onus on us to maintain a very safe system in place. After Walkerton, there were many issues then, so now we're mandated to do certain things. And we are also replacing all the underground system. The stuff that you don't see costs hundreds of millions of dollars. So we're investing heavily into that. And that's part of the reasons why the rates for water have gone up. The other reason is that we lost major water consumers, like major industries. And therefore, when the industrial tax base dropped 40 to 50% in the last 10 years, that has an effect on the revenue that we were getting from water. Plus, we're fixing all the underground pipes, so your cost is now even higher. Going to Bear Point is now, that helps in many ways with single source of water. But remember, now we get to pay $2.5 million a year in hydro cost alone for pushing the water all the way to Nibing through the pumping stations. So there are many reasons why things are where they are. And my job is to look at those in a level of detail that gives reassurance to the taxpayers that we are doing our job in the most efficient and effective way possible. And also give reassurance with council and the mayor that we're working in close collaboration with our staff to do the best possible job for our citizens and our taxpayers.
So you got some tough decisions to make. So we talked about the forest industry going down. We had 4 pulp mills. We have 1 left. And they all paid not only wages to their workers, who then paid property taxes, but they also paid taxes themselves to the city.
Well, you remember that last year, the grain elevator reclassification to commercial cost the city $1 million a year. Do you know how many homes we need to build to bring that kind of taxes in? Hundreds. So that was a big hit for us from the revenue side. So we're trying to find those savings internally, but it makes it much more difficult.
But doesn't that shift the burden a little bit away from the industries onto the
residential
homeowners?
And commercial, yes, yes. And so when people ask us, our tax is a lot heavier, higher than other cities in Canada or in Ontario. When we compare to Ontario, for cities of similar size, we're about average, slightly below average, believe it or not.
Based on what?
When you look at the average of the average home, so you take a home 1,200 square feet, paying $4,000 or $3,700, something like that. We compare to cities of our size, we're about average. When we add the water and wastewater, we're slightly above average. So we're not on the highest, we're not on the lowest. We're somewhere in the average.
Okay.
We've been able to do that because besides Tibetel, we have and continue to work hard at running an efficient operation. Given that the size of our city, and it's a geographical reality that people need to acknowledge. When you had Fort William and Port Arthur combining, joining forces, and then McIntyre, huge extension territorial-wise, and then Nebing, we have the footprint of the city of Montreal without the economies of scale. So every time you send a snowplow or garbage pickup truck, it has to go a long way, so the cost per kilometer is higher.
Right.
So we need to do it in a way that is efficient, and we always looking at ways to do it better in order to maintain those costs at a reasonable level. But
And it's interesting because, in a way, we really like Thunder Bay because we're not all packed in together. But if we're all packed together, it's cheaper to provide the service.
It does, of course, and that's why City Council, the city has implemented an infilling policy. You know, we want to curtail the urban sprawl and infill in the core where the infrastructure has already been built. And every time we give the green light to a new development, housing development, is usually within the city limits where there is already a road, there is already services provided, so that we don't have to build a whole new infrastructure. Like Toronto is they're building condos downtown because they cannot afford to go outside anymore. Because every time they go to the suburbs, you have to build a whole new infrastructure.
Right.
We're lucky that way, in many ways, that we already have roads that go all the way to Town Line Road. Already have garbage pickup and snow removal. So if you build a subdivision there, you only have to incur the incremental cost. So there is a net positive to the city. Obviously, the closer you are to the center, the less expensive. And that's priority number one. But there are some people who get really excited when every time we allow a subdivision to be built, like on Hilldale the other night. On social media, I was getting some negative questions. You know, why are we doing it? It's going to cost us more. No, those are positive for the city. You need to grow because we already invested in major roads. We already invested in telecommunication. We have a water and wastewater system that can accommodate another 30,000 people. We have the hydro system that can easily handle another 30, 40,000 people. So we need to grow. We need more people. And then your unit cost, the cost of how much taxation you pay per each household, will go down. Because right now, we're stable as a population, and we are maintaining our own in terms of our ability to provide services at a reasonable tax level.
Right. We're just about out of time. If people want to find out more, how do they do that? Do they contact you, or where do they go?
They can email me, fpullia@thunderbay.ca.
Okay, we'll put that right on the screen there.
fpullia@thunderbay.ca. An email is always best because wherever I am, I can respond. Or they can phone me, 767-6579. And on a final note on the budget and the roads, the budget direction will be coming to council soon. We're already looking at the next 3 years, trying to give a direction for the next 3 years. And we are hoping to keep it around 2.5%, possibly 2%, but it's going to be difficult. 2.5 reasonable increases. And as I said, even lower if we can. We have completed the strategic plan that now for the first time has performance indicators so that we can measure our success as we move forward.
Thank you so much, Frank, for joining us. Stay with us or come back next show. We'll have the Mayor, Keith Hobbs, on. If you have any questions or comments, we are on Facebook, on Community Conversations. Check us out. And we look forward to seeing you again next week. Stay safe. Take care. Bye-bye.